Philadelphia stands alone as the consensus favorite to win the title heading into the 2026-27 campaign, entering the season with a starting five featuring Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid, while also having a deep bench highlighted by free agent additions Anthony Simons and Dean Wade. With that said, the Eastern Conference is still an absolute juggernaut, as the reigning champion New York Knicks will bring back their core four of Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges, while the Miami Heat have now paired Giannis Antetokounmpo with Bam Adebayo. The Boston Celtics remain dangerous with Jason Tatum, Paul George, Derek White, and recently signed Mitchell Robinson, who could become an enormous defensive presence for them. The Atlanta Hawks have CJ McCollum and Jalen Johnson with elite point-of-attack wing defender Lou Dort alongside Dyson Daniels, while the Washington Wizards now feature a Trae Young and Anthony Davis partnership. Even the rising Detroit Pistons, led by Cade Cunningham, are capable of making serious noise. The Indiana Pacers are welcoming back franchise superstar Tyrese Halliburton, who led them to an Eastern Conference title in 2025. The Cleveland Cavaliers, led by Donovan Mitchell and James Harden after winning 2 playoff series, a potentially Kawhi Leonard-led Toronto Raptors team, and the Paolo Banchero-led Orlando Magic all present formidable opposition. Even so, none of these franchises possesses a unit capable of matching the sheer, unfiltered star power or the precise roster synchronization that has been constructed in Philadelphia. This position was made possible by the masterclass of Mike Gansey, who took over as president of basketball operations this past May. In less than 2 months, Gansey completely flipped the luxury tax apron situation on its head. He moved the expiring Paul George contract to the Celtics in exchange for 2024 Finals MVP Jaylen Brown, then pulled off the ultimate recruiting coup by signing all-time great LeBron James to a team-friendly contract. Gansey also used his remaining flexibility to bring in lethal off-the-dribble scorer Anthony Simons and elite stretch big Dean Wade through free agency. This rapid, high-yield transformation completely blows past the standard front office timeline, instantly creating a starting five that combines generational pedigree, peak athleticism, and modern spacing. The individual reputations and functional strengths of Philadelphia's new starting five also appear capable of blending into one cohesive and complementary unit. Embiid anchors the hierarchy as the ultimate interior force, demanding defensive attention on virtually every possession, while creating enormous pressure around the rim and free throw line. That gravitational pull opens the floor for LeBron James, who can seamlessly transition into an elite facilitator and secondary scoring role, using his extraordinary basketball IQ to control possessions and minimize unnecessary turnovers. Jaylen Brown brings a fiercely competitive two-way championship edge, remaining completely comfortable attacking distorted defenses or taking on the opposition's primary wing scorer on the other end. Tyrese Maxey becomes the team's joyful, high-octane engine, using his lightning-fast speed and acceleration to stretch defenses horizontally and force opponents to constantly retreat. Soon-to-be sophomore sensation VJ Edgecombe rounds out the group as an ultra-athletic, high-effort defensive disruptor who can fill gaps with dynamic cutting and transition rim pressure, making sure the floor never becomes stagnant. A deeper examination of their individual playstyles and advanced metrics helps explain why this unit could become mathematically devastating for opposing defenses. Embiid remains a scoring powerhouse, coming off seasons where he has produced elite efficiency while generating enormous value in isolation, backed by a career player efficiency rating that has consistently placed him among the most dominant players in NBA history. Maxey complements that perfectly as an elite offensive spacer and creator, carrying a true shooting percentage well above league average, while producing high-volume offense without constantly giving possessions away. Brown provides highly efficient three-level scoring, pairing an elite effective field goal profile with defensive impact that places him among the upper echelon of NBA wings. James remains a statistical marvel at even this stage of his career, maintaining an elite assist percentage and positive overall impact that consistently elevates the environment around him. Edgecombe adds another injection of defensive chaos, using his massive wingspan, athleticism, and relentless activity to generate steals, blocks, deflections, and transition opportunities that can completely change the momentum of a possession. The operational brilliance of this roster should be fully realized through head coach Nick Nurse, who is uniquely equipped to stagger these lineups and keep his stars fresh throughout an entire game. Nurse will rarely have to operate with fewer than 2 major offensive weapons on the floor at any given moment, allowing Philadelphia to remain fresh, dangerous, and difficult to defend across all 48 minutes. Maxey and Embiid can retain their signature pick-and-roll partnership as the foundation of the first unit, while Brown and James can slide into primary playmaking responsibilities and overwhelm opposing benches during second-quarter stretches. The true luxury, however, lies in the bench infrastructure Gansey managed to secure, because when Embiid heads to the bench, Dean Wade can step in as a premier stretch 5 option, creating an empty corner 5-out offense that opens enormous driving lanes for James and forces the opposing center away from the paint. At the same time, Anthony Simons can enter as a dynamic pick-and-roll ball handler, using his shooting ability and catch-and-shoot efficiency to punish defenses that collapse toward Brown or Maxey. This newly constructed roster naturally draws immediate comparisons to some of the greatest super teams in basketball history. Yet, despite all that star power, it also appears to possess a distinct lack of obvious structural weaknesses. Unlike the legendary Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant Los Angeles Lakers, whose dominance could sometimes be threatened by internal clashes and limited perimeter spacing, this Sixers team features modern multi-positional shooting and offensive versatility at virtually every spot on the floor. When compared with the Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson Golden State Warriors, Gansey's roster may sacrifice a portion of that historic perimeter shooting volume, but it makes up for it with significantly more physical rim pressure and interior defensive dominance. The combination of Embiid's shot-blocking presence and Brown's point-of-attack defense gives Philadelphia a much higher defensive ceiling than almost any modern offensive juggernaut, potentially eliminating the defensive compromises that typically come with assembling several superstar-level offensive players on the same roster. When looking toward a potential NBA Finals matchup, the 76ers also match up exceptionally well against the heavyweight contenders of the Western Conference, particularly the San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder boast a deep, young core built around elite perimeter length, athleticism, defensive versatility, and efficient drive and kick basketball, while the Spurs feature a generational rim-protecting focal point who can completely alter the geometry of the floor. However, Oklahoma City may lack the sheer physical size necessary to contain Embiid over a 7-game series without consistently creating openings for Philadelphia's perimeter weapons. Against San Antonio, the Sixers can deploy an overwhelming collection of physical wing defenders, such as James and Brown, to disrupt their offensive rhythm, while using Embiid's interior presence to control the paint. Philadelphia's ability to switch across multiple positions while still retaining a dominant interior anchor gives them a clear tactical advantage against the West's elite teams and explains why this roster has a legitimate path to beating them. Ultimately, the 2026-27 Philadelphia 76ers represent the perfect alignment of elite front office execution, star-studded roster construction, and advanced statistical synergy. Mike Gansey has built a masterclass in roster optimization, turning the restrictions of the modern luxury tax system into a platform for what could become a historic talent heist. With a starting lineup that perfectly blends veteran poise with youthful explosiveness, supported by elite bench depth and an innovative coaching staff, Philadelphia is positioned to dominate the Eastern Conference. Their unmatched combination of size, speed, shooting, playmaking, and defensive versatility leaves opponents with very few obvious weaknesses to exploit over a 7-game series once the postseason arrives. If this group remains healthy and accepts the sacrifices required from a true super team, anything short of raising the Larry O'Brien Trophy would qualify as a massive disappointment. The Sixers have successfully assembled an absolute juggernaut, and they enter the season as the undisputed favorite to capture the NBA championship. This was your boy D-Flow, and I'll see you in the next video.